In the heart of Persia, in the city of Nishapur, a child was born in the year 1048 who would echo through the centuries. His full name was Yith al-Don Abel al-Fatah, Umar ibn Ibrahim al-Nssab al-Khayyam, a name as grand as his future legacy. Known to the world simply as Omar Khayyam, he was destined to become a master of many disciplines. His early life was set against the backdrop of the great Seljuk Empire, a time of immense cultural and scientific flourishing. During his lifetime, Khayyam was not celebrated as a poet. Instead, he was revered as one of the greatest mathematicians and astronomers of his age. He delved into the complexities of cubic equations, a challenge that had baffled mathematicians for centuries. His work on the subject was groundbreaking, demonstrating a profound understanding of algebra and geometry. He was also a key figure in the reform of the Persian calendar. The Jalali calendar, a solar calendar he helped create, was astonishingly accurate. His calculation of the year's length was more precise than the Gregorian calendar developed 5 centuries later. This calendar remains a testament to his scientific genius and is still in use in Iran and Afghanistan. Khayyam's philosophical inquiries were as deep as his scientific pursuits. Questioned the nature of existence, the divine, and the human condition. Yet for all his fame in science, it was his whispered verses that would grant him immortality. These verses were known as Rubaiyat, or quatrains. Each rubai is a 4-line stanza, a self-contained universe of thought and emotion. The authorship of these poems is a matter of intense scholarly debate. While hundreds of quatrains are attributed to Khayyam, few can be definitively traced back to him. It is likely that many were written by others in his style and attributed to the great man. The poems circulated orally for many years before being written down. The core themes of the Rubaiyat are timeless and universal. Khayyam, or the voice of the poems, grapples with the fleeting nature of life. He writes of the bird of time which has but a little way to fly, and the bird is on the wing. The inevitability of death is a constant, haunting presence in the verses. He speaks of how kings and beggars alike are leveled by the dust. The potter's shop is a powerful recurring metaphor in the Rubaiyat. The poet questions the potter, a metaphor for the creator, about the nature of his creations. Why create vessels that are destined only to be broken? This reflects a deep philosophical skepticism about divine justice and purpose. In the face of this uncertainty, the poet offers a simple, powerful prescription. Carpe diem tuntka. Seize the day. For yesterday is but a dream and tomorrow is only a vision. The cash is the present moment, and one should live it to the fullest. This is often expressed through the enjoyment of earthly pleasures. The jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and thou is perhaps the most famous expression of this idea. It speaks of finding paradise in simple, immediate joys. The praise of wine is a constant refrain in the Rubaiyat. Scholars debate whether this is literal or a Sufi metaphor for divine ecstasy. Could the tavern be the spiritual house and the wine the love of God? Or is it a straightforward embrace of hedonism in a world without clear answers? This ambiguity gives the poems their enduring power and depth. For centuries, Khayyam's verses remained a treasure known mostly within the Persian-speaking world. His story takes a dramatic turn in the 19th century, in Victorian England. A reclusive and eccentric scholar named Edward Fitzgerald discovered a manuscript of the Rubaiyat. Fitzgerald was not a literal translator. He was a transcreator. He captured the spirit, rather than the exact words, of the quatrains. He consolidated themes, merged verses, and polished them with his own poetic genius. The result was his Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, first published in 1859. Initially, the book was a complete failure. It languished in obscurity until it was discovered by pre-Raphaelite poets and artists. They were captivated by its sensual, fatalistic, and exotic worldview. The Rubaiyat quickly became a sensation, a cult classic of the late Victorian era. Fitzgerald's translation resonated with a society questioning its own rigid religious and social norms. The Carpe Diem message was a liberating antidote to Victorian repression. The book's popularity exploded, leading to countless ornate and illustrated editions. The verses became some of the most quoted in the English language. Khayyam's name, once known only to a few scholars, was now famous worldwide. The mathematician from Nishapur had become the poet of the world. His work influenced countless writers, artists, and thinkers. The Rubaiyat's journey is a remarkable story of cultural transmission. It shows how ideas can traverse centuries and continents. The voice of a skeptical Persian astronomer found a home in the heart of a questioning industrial empire. Today, the Rubaiyat continues to enchant readers with its blend of doubt and delight. It reminds us of the big questions that have always haunted humanity. What is our purpose in this vast, silent cosmos? How do we live a meaningful life in the face of certain oblivion? Khayyam's answer, filtered through Fitzgerald, is both simple and profound. Find your happiness in the now, in the tangible joys of this world. The wine of life keeps oozing drop by drop. The leaves of life keep falling one by one. The moving finger writes, and, having writ, moves on. Omar Khayyam, the poet-mathematician, remains a figure of captivating duality. He is a symbol of the fusion of logic and passion, science and art. His legacy is not just in his equations or his verses, but in the conversation between them. He looked at the stars and measured their movements with precision. He also looked at the rose and felt the sting of its transient beauty. His life's work reminds us that the search for truth can take many forms. It can be found in the rigor of a mathematical proof. It can also be found in the acceptance of a beautiful, fleeting moment. The man who measured the heavens also measured the human heart. And in his Rubaiyat, he invites us all to do the same. The Seljuk court was a center of intellectual life, attracting scholars from all over. Khayyam's patron, the Sultan Malik Shah, funded a great observatory in Isfahan. Here, Khayyam and his colleagues would map the stars with unprecedented accuracy. His philosophical writings were less famous but equally profound. He wrote treatises on metaphysics, music, and the definition of existence. The quatrains often express a frustration with the limits of human knowledge. He speaks of doctors and saints who argue, but none can unravel the knot of fate. This intellectual humility is a hallmark of his scientific and poetic mind. The garden is another recurring motif, a paradise on earth. It is a space for love, wine and contemplation, away from the world's strife. The nightingale sings its song to the rose, a classic Persian symbol of the lover and the beloved. This imagery infuses the poems with a deep sense of romance and longing. Fitzgerald's own life was one of quiet solitude, much like the poet he admired. He found a kindred spirit in the ancient Persian sage who questioned everything. The success of his translation was something he never fully embraced, remaining famously reclusive. The Omar Khayyam clubs that sprang up were a testament to the poem's cultural impact. These clubs celebrated the Epicurean and skeptical spirit of the Rubaiyat. The poem's influence can be seen in titles of novels by authors like Agatha Christie and Eugene O'Neill. The phrase "the moving finger" itself has become a common idiom for fate. Even today, new translations of the Rubaiyat continue to be published. Each new version seeks to find a different facet of the original's genius. Some translations are more literal, trying to stay closer to the Persian. Others, like Fitzgerald, aim to capture the poem's spirit for a new generation. The debate between the literal and the metaphorical Khayyam continues to this day. Was he a mystic cloaking his devotion in worldly symbols? Or was he a rationalist who saw religion as a human construct? Perhaps the truth is that he was both, a man who contained multitudes. His poetry is a mirror where every generation sees its own questions reflected. The call to fill the cup is a call to embrace the fullness of experience. Is an invitation to live without fear of the unknown future or regret for the unchangeable past. The legacy of the poet-mathematician is a testament to the power of a single, questioning voice. A voice that, across 1,000 years, still speaks of wine, roses, and the stars. Khayyam's critique of Euclid's parallel postulate was a significant mathematical contribution. He explored the logical foundations of geometry with a critical eye. This work foreshadowed the development of non-Euclidean geometry centuries later. The first mention of Khayyam as a poet appeared in a historical text around 1176. The Rubaiyat's fatalism was a source of both comfort and controversy. It challenged the Victorian belief in progress and divine providence. The imagery of dust and decay is pervasive and powerful. He imagines Alexander the Great's clay stopping a bunghole. This stark imagery emphasizes the great leveling power of time. The poem's skepticism is not nihilistic, but rather life-affirming. By accepting the limits of life, one is free to truly live it. Fitzgerald's 5 editions of the Rubaiyat show his continuous refinement of the work. He was obsessed with finding the perfect musicality and phrasing. The poem's structure, with its Abba rhyme scheme, is hypnotic and memorable. This simple structure contains a universe of complex philosophy. The Rubaiyat is a testament to the enduring power of doubt. It teaches that not having all the answers is not a failure, but a part of the human condition. Khayyam's intellectual honesty prevented him from accepting easy answers. This honesty shines through in every verse, questioning and probing. The flower that once has blown forever dies is a poignant reminder of mortality. Yet, the poem encourages us not to mourn, but to appreciate the bloom. The influence of the Rubaiyat spread to the world of music and film. It became a symbol of exotic wisdom and romantic fatalism. The story of Omar Khayyam is a story of 2 lives, the historical scientist and the legendary poet. One lived in the 11th century, the other was born in the 19th. Both have left an indelible mark on the world. His scientific works are studied by historians of mathematics. His poetic works are cherished by lovers of literature. The man who sought to solve the universe's equations also gave voice to its mysteries.